Well, what do we have here? Now I've set myself up for a big giant trap. Because I need to pronounce the name of these games. Utawarerumono. No, I think that went pretty well. So, what are these games? They are two available in the West. There is a third one that that was released in Japan on the PlayStation 2 and I think PC. That was set before the two PlayStation 4 games. Now they are working on a remaster of all three games. I have not heard anything about any localization, but a remake is already happening, I guess. Right, these games on the PS4. They are visual novels with SRPG elements scattered in between. And I call it mainly a visual novel because the visual novel elements take up so much time. If you just spread out the type of gameplay per unit of time, you'll see that the visual novel takes the vast majority of the cake in such a circle diagram, pie chart, whatever. So the SRPG elements, they reminded me a lot of Shining Force, which is the reason I bought the games. Don't judge. But it's not quite as simple as Shining Force, although it's not very far from it. There is it's not really within the scope of this series to go into detail about the ins and outs of the gameplay. But you get some skills that you can equip to different people and with their different mental attributes and other skills and attack types and all that kind of a thing. They will have different effects and will help or hinder you differently depending on other situations. Let's leave it at that. Basically, it's as complicated as you allow it to become. But if you play on lower difficulties, you don't really have to worry too much about this. Some battles get challenging, yes, but they are not, Shin Megami Tensei game fiendish kind of a thing. So, what pulled me into the game is as I hinted at, the gameplay. I mean, just show me Shining Force stuff and I'm all over it. Which is, I swear to God, the reason that I got into Fire Emblem. I looked at the cover of Radiant Dawn and, hey, okay, I'm sold. And, now I'm into Fire Emblem. But back to Utawarerumono. The visual novel. If you don't enjoy visual novel gameplay, this is definitely not a game for you. But with that said, although the characters do appear tropey in almost at least half the story, there's more to them. At least that's the impression I got. Your mileage may vary, of course. But when you have Kuon be sort of... the game just so obviously tries to set her up with the main protagonist. And then stuff just happens in between Mask of Deception and Mask of Truth. In the beginning of Mask of Truth, I should say. yeah, she's a hell of a character. Hey, will you stop launching the screensaver when I'm recording these rants? For Pete's sake, computer. And the others, the Servile sisters, as I will call them, they actually proved to be quite mischievous on occasion. I do like that. I mean, it's the game is not without problems, and there is particularly one scene in A Mask of Deception that just does not leave me with a good impression at all. But then there's that other scene in Mask of Truth where boing boing features prominently. If you know about Japanese quirks, I think I will not need to explain that further. But basically, the guys in the group, they got their testes in a bunch. There's no smoother way to describe it. One of those happened to have sort of basically unrequited love going for this female character who was there at the time, and when she turns on him and gives him just the most withering stare, I just, oh my god, I felt for that guy. Oh, just, oh no. It's moments like that. It's just, I do like it when I just get this connection to the characters on the screen. Might not happen to everyone, and I'm sure the novelty will wear off eventually, but that happened. I was that invested with the characters, and they sort of do make sense in a way within the premise of the world, which it is pretty bizarre. As for the story itself, it has some really lofty ambitions. I should not try to describe or go into any details there, because that's, well, the shock of it is an element of the storytelling. And yeah, okay, let's move on from all that. Bada woof, whoosh. The music, the soundtrack to this game is a bit strange, to me at least. I would say that the style is some kind of ethnic, folksy, old Japanese style most of the time, or at least the instrumentation. There's some J-pop in the beginning, I think, as is typical for anime things. But apart from that, it's mostly instrumental, sort of folksy, folk music. I don't know, something. And I like it. It's not kind of grab you by the balls like Mahler or catchy most of the time, but it's it just fits with the visuals, if you understand what I mean. It's well, it is what it is. It's either hit or miss. For me, it's well, it's not a clean hit, I guess, but I approve. Some of the songs are, I would say that they are beautiful. I quite liked some of them. And the games do feature actually a sort of a sound test. So as you go through the game, you will get the you will unlock the entire soundtrack. At least I think that is what you get. Something like 60 tracks that you can play from Mask of Deception, and I think it expands to a little over 90 in Mask of Truth. I actually, not long ago, recorded most of the soundtrack there. I mean, not every track, because there's a lot of overlap between Mask of Deception and Mask of Truth. Not surprisingly, But yeah, I have recorded the soundtracks for myself. Got them stored on my computer, and they are stuck somewhere in the in the pile of however many thousand music tracks I have. Anyway, what else? I thought there was something else. Oh yeah. The build-up for the final boss in Mask of Deception is, I think, one of the best I've ever seen. I mean, you have Sephiroth in Final Fantasy VII, like, yeah, right? He's a kind of iconic villain, but he's just not present most of the time, and well, I mean, he's not present as a clear and present menace that will come and lop your head off. I mean, any minute now. The ending of Mask of Deception, I think it's a good 3 hours where you just oh wow, we are definitely going to meet this guy later, and it's not gonna be fun. And then you actually do meet him, and then I think there's another hour or two. I don't know how long it's just these games. You know, they say about Mahler's Third Symphony that it has the most expansive, okay, well, maybe not expansive, but drawn out ending or finale of or final cadence or coda, whatever the term is, of any known symphonies. It pales to these games. I kid you not. In I mean, you had a sort of build up to the final boss in Mask of Deception, and then you are kind of cheated out of the actual final form of the final boss. I wouldn't say that's a spoiler, because there's a bit of shenanigans going on in Mask of Truth. But what happens then in Mask of Truth is that I spent over 10 hours thinking I had just fought the final battle in the game, and just more stuff kept coming, and there was visual novels like all over the place, and it's, oh good lord, Mask of Truth. I was starting to think that game just never end. That game just would never end. Language. I really highly recommend these games for what they are. They are not up everyone's alley, fair enough, but I had a lot of fun playing these games, and I mean, this is like Shining Force with character development. Sick burn, yo. I still love Shining Force, but fair enough. I mean, let's be fair. There's hardly any character development except maybe in Shining Force 3, which is probably why Shining Force 3 was such a damn good game. But anyway, Utawarerumono. Put a pin in that. If you want to wait until there's more news on the remake, do keep an eye on that. I will not put news on my channel, but what is the developer name? Aqua Plus is the developer, and Atlas is the publisher. So go check out their channels, and well, their information channels. And yeah, wow, I've ranted for almost 15 minutes about this game now. Whew. Yeah, so I'm excited about this game. Or these games. Anyway, Utawarerumono. Yes. I am now looking for the DVDs.